just outside the historic downtown area of St. Augustine, north of Uptown San Marco, is one of the most inspiring destinations in Florida. Hey everyone, I'm ChadGallivanter. You've discovered the channel with travel tips and guides that won't waste your time. Fort Mose was the first legally sanctioned free African settlement in America. Often referred to as the original Underground Railroad, this place was a refuge for enslaved Africans who escaped from British plantations in the Carolinas and Georgia. The Spanish offered them freedom and land in exchange for their allegiance and conversion to Catholicism. On this episode, I take you to Fort Mose Historic State Park, where we together will experience the Flight to Freedom event, a living history showcase that recreates the journey of the freedom seekers. I'll also tell you about an exciting new project to construct a replica of the 18th century fort. Come along to discover the true meaning of freedom at Fort Mose, a symbol of courage and resilience. Fort Mose was established in 1738 by the Spanish governor of Florida as a refuge for enslaved Africans who escaped from the British colonies. The promises? Freedom and land as long as they remained loyal and became Catholic. The settlers of Fort Mose formed a militia to defend the northern frontier of Spanish Florida and built a fort with a moat, a drawbridge, and a watchtower. Fort Mose was attacked and destroyed by the British in 1740. Residents fled to St. Augustine, where they helped to repel the British siege. In 1752, Fort Mose was rebuilt on a nearby site and remained a thriving community until 1763, when Spain ceded Florida to Britain. The inhabitants of Fort Mose then migrated to Cuba, where they continued to enjoy their freedom and rights. Fort Mose was forgotten for centuries until research teams from the University of Florida rediscovered it in the 1970s. In 1989, the state of Florida acquired the land and created Fort Mose Historic State Park. And in 1994, Fort Mose was designated a National Historic Landmark and added to the National Register of Historic Places. One of the best times to visit Fort Mose Historic State Park is in early February, when the park plays host to the annual Flight to Freedom event. This is a living history showcase that recreates the journey of the freedom seekers who traveled from the British plantations to Spanish Florida in the 18th century. Visitors can walk along the Freedom Trail, where they encounter actors portraying slaves, Native Americans, Spanish soldiers, friars, and slave catchers. They also witness musket and cannon demonstrations by the Fort Mose Militia and learn all about the African, Spanish, and Native American food traditions and culture from guest speakers. The Flight to Freedom event is free and open to the public.
We come from a place up in the Carolinas, Charlestown, and we were forced up there to work on this rice plantation run by the British. Oh, it was such hard work, people. It was such hard work. We worked from sun up to sundown. And those rice fields, those plants, they're sharp and they cut your hands and your legs. It was just a hard life. It was so difficult. But we heard word came down through the plantation. We got word on the plantation that there was a place in Spanish La Florida, a place called St. Augustine. And they said if a slave could make it to St. Augustine, they could be free. I wanted to be free. I really wanted to be free. But it took a long, long time to make up my mind to run. Because I knew if I got caught running away, they were going to beat me for sure. They might even cripple me. They could even kill me for trying to run away. But late one night, with just the clothes I had on my back, we just took off, running for our freedom, heading to St. Augustine. We came through forests, we ate berries, whatever we could find to live on our journey. I must say that the Yamasee natives, they were helpful. They were helpful to us. They knew the land, and they knew the trails, and they told us what we could eat and what we shouldn't eat. They helped us. They helped us along the way. They pointed us in the right direction. So we continued our journey. Me and my sister, we kept traveling, and we came to forests so thick. But I tell you, sometimes running through swamps at night, alligators, snakes, wild animals, dangerous. It was hard, people. It was such a hard journey. And even now, I don't know. Are we even close to St. Augustine already? Am I headed in the right direction? I hope so, because I just want to be free. But I brought too much attention to myself. I'm sorry. I've taken up too much of your time. You go on. Safe travels to you. But I'm going to warn you now that there's dangers in these woods. There are British patrols searching and slave catchers. And those slave catchers, they'll offer you something to turn us in. They'll promise you something to give up, to say where you saw us and where they can find us. But I'm begging you, please don't tell anybody you saw us. Please don't give us up. Our lives depend on it. Don't tell anybody you saw us. Please.
Sister, I hear something. We gotta run.
Please, don't tell anybody.
Hurry, sister.
We're going to continue along the path.
Ani miki siku holam hachu talami yamase hajo. Miku yamase yate. Che unke hechite. Che unke. Tu habla español? Would you prefer English? I can speak English. First question is, friends or enemies?
Friends.
You don't sound too sure. I'll ask again. Friends or enemies?
Friends.
Good answer. Well, since you're friends, I have to ask. Have you heard of my people, the Yamasee?
No.
No. The British did a great job then. My people, the Yamasee, were once friends and allies with the British and the Spanish, helping them hunt, find food, even to go into war for them. Do you know what our friends gave us in return?
Smallpox.
Their diseases, yes. What else? Slavery. They put our people into slavery. You see, the Yamasee people went to hunt and trade with them. And while our men went to hunt and trade, they would go into our villages, take our women and children, and put them into slavery, claiming that the men owed them and was indebted to them. They continued to do this until eventually my people had to go to war with them. The same people we called friends are now our enemies. See, the Yamasee looked like the Negroes from Africa they was bringing over. And for those of the white men and colonizers who did not have enough money to send for slaves with their boats, they would take Yamasee and put us into slavery because we looked like the Negroes they brought over. No longer were we Yamasee the fierce. We became Yamasee the slaves, Negroes, runaways, wild ones, savages. The Spanish word for this was Seminole, Seminoles. No longer the fiercest of Indian tribes, we became just savages, slaves, runaways. They said they owned my people, but my people are born free. We knew we were born free. Creator made all of us free. The problem that they had was they took the most valuable thing to us, our women. So our women run our tribe. They tell us when we go to war, when to make peace. Our women, our mothers, are our first teachers. The first ones to show us love. Our children. Without our children, we have no future. So when you take our women and our children, you leave us nothing. We were forced to fight. The problem is, the British, and sometimes even the Spanish, were very cruel. They would take our children, put them in their fields, force them to work with the women. If they did not produce enough, they'll whip our children with sticks with spikes on them. They would take newborn babies from our women, put ropes around them, around their necks, set them next to creeks and riverbanks, and use them as alligator bait. So we had to go and save our people. Not only did we save our people, we also saved the Africans as well. Going into the slave plantations at night in South Carolina, following the stars, running through the forest, through the swamp, where we had to deal with things like Nakusi, bears, Koale, panthers, Chito, snakes, all while being chased by those we taught how to hunt, those we taught how to trap, those we once fed. They now call them slave catchers. The hardest decision ever for my people was for a mother to take the life of her own baby, to save the rest of us, because we traveled in groups much like this. And fathers to watch, and grandfathers to watch you, the mother, having to take the life of what he will die for, what you would die for. That baby, those generations that we live for, no longer Indians, slaves running from someone who say they own us. This is the truth of my people. I am not a reenactor. I am the actual chief of the Yamasee Indian tribe today. I am honored by Fort Mose and those here that volunteer to tell this story. They did not allow reenactors to tell our story. I have to relive this each and every time I share it. I honor my ancestors because without that fight, without that courage, I would not be here. The fight for freedom. The fight for a future. The savages that did not want to conform. Truth be told, we live in a country today where we go to other people's aid. We go to other countries to help people fight for freedom, do we not? We fight for the oppressed, do we not?
Yeah.
We fight for those that have a voice, do we not? And we call our children's brothers, uncles, daughters, heroes, right? But we're not called heroes. We didn't fight for the same cause. We have to change the narrative. We have to start rethinking about history. We come here and we look for a romanticized version of history. We want to know how the Negro people did it, how the African American people did it, how the natives did it. Not once do we think these people are heroes. They were oppressed. They was forced into a system they didn't know about. They was forced to do things that we fight for others to do today. But we do not call them heroes. We call them history. So if we're going to accept history, then let's not repeat it. Let's not teach our children skin color or the color of someone's skin. Remember, my people fought for the Spanish, they fought for the British, and they fought for the Africans. We did not see color. We saw human beings. And our reward was being written out of history, being renamed, no longer Yamasee, no longer the fierce, but now runaways, savages, Negroes. Let's stop that. Let's call us for what we were. You are here today because my ancestors brought you here. I know this. They bring those who want to hear the truth. They bring those who will share the story of our people. You did not come here by chance. You are on sacred land. This land where my people died. They fought, they loved, they sacrificed. Their blood is under your feet. Their spirits are here, their souls are here, and they're just asking to remember them. That is how we continue to live, by the legacy we leave, by the things we do. This is how our children and grandchildren remember us, by the stories. Grandmother, grandfather, they were great people. My mother was great people. They left a legacy. They cared about all. They cared about everyone. This is the legacy we are obligated as parents, as grandparents, to leave for our children. And the example is history. The example is history. So all I ask is that you remember my people's name, Yamasi. Many people do not remember us because our name was omitted from history. Many people do not know that there was Native American people that looked like me, my skin tone, my color. Everyone that looks black is not black. So please, share my people's story. Tell people about the hidden tribe, the forgotten tribe, the Underground Railroad. Bring them here. Share the story here. Tell your family to come here and learn. Let's change this narrative. Yes. Yes.
Actually has a higher bounty out now that's worth more than all those animals combined. You see, they're losing their workforce up north, and there's people coming down here from as far north as South Carolina all the way to St. Augustine. You see, they're runaway slaves, and the king wants their workforce back. Now, I don't particularly care for the Spanish, and I don't really care for the English. I care about my family and myself. But you see, it's rough out here. Now, it's still early in the morning, but it's gonna get dark at some point today. And well, what happens when it gets dark? It's gonna get cold. You know what happens when it gets cold? We're gonna want a warm meal. And while we're eating that food, we're gonna want something to drink. Well, looking around, I see you guys have nothing. And well, it's a long trip to the closest town. I mean, it's not close at all. You might see somebody, you might not. They might be nice, they might not. But here we are. And well, I have everything you need. So, I have a proposition for you, if you can answer something for me. Because I see you guys have been walking around these woods, and I'm here in this particular area because I heard there's a couple runaway slaves around here. I'm gonna remind you, it's a long way to the next town. So have you guys seen any runaway slaves?
No.
No? Are you sure? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're better off kicking rocks in my book. So you better get out of here before I find a reason to get some out of one of you guys. So good luck out there.
So I'm the spiritual leader of this great community of Mose. These are great people at Mose. I'm actually on my way to St. Augustine to talk to my superiors about the great things that are happening. The church is built. We're beginning work on the residents. These are hard-working people providing great skills that the great city of St. Augustine needs to grow and be strong. Cutters of the great coquina. The walls that protect our fortress, the Castillo. Our fine governor has offered freedom to all like yourselves to flee to Florida, to the land of freedom, away from the Brits. And we will help protect. I hope that you will help protect the city. Will you join the militia? Will you help protect your city? I hope you will. It's not been so good for the Brits, has it? No. They send their slave catchers down. We've hurt their economy. We say, hey, slave catchers, you go home. You have no place here, for these are free citizens of Spain. I bless you on your journey. It's been a long journey, but you're almost there. May I offer a blessing to each one of you. May the God the Father bless each one of these people in journey to freedom, for it is such a great place of this Fort Mose. Amen. Amen. I hope to meet with you, each one of you, when I return from St. Augustine. I'm going to talk to my superiors. They're going to be very happy that I've run into you. Our population has grown tremendously. We're providing great service to this great city of St. Augustine. God bless each one of you. I hope to see you very soon.
You are freedom seekers? You're looking for Fort Mose? Yes. Well, that would make sense that you don't know the passcode. Y'all been traveling a long ways. South Carolina, North Carolina? Yeah, it's a long ways to travel. There's a lot of dangers out there. I'm the boatman. I actually take people up and down these rivers and all over these waterways. Goods, people, they pay me very well to bring them to travel through these ways because it's pretty treacherous going through these swamps. You know, it was just a couple days ago that a trapper paid me very well to bring him to this shore. He paid me too much. It was really strange. I think he was more than a trapper. He definitely wanted to come in this area. He might have been a bounty hunter. Very dangerous is going on in these parts. There's lots of wars going on right now. You know, but being on the water, I try to stay out of all that stuff. I don't care about all this politics. It's crazy these days. As long as people pay me, I'm fine. By any chance, when you left the plantations that you were on, did you take anything with you? Silver, maybe? Some candles? You didn't take anything with you? And you want passage anyway, right? That's gonna be a problem for me. You know what? I'll do something. I'll do a deal with you. How about this? When you go to Fort Mose, some of you men, you'll be a part of the militia. You ladies will learn skills. Men will learn skills as well. You'll definitely have to become Catholic. But when you make and produce stuff, will you give me a good deal? And I'll take you for free this time. I'll smuggle you in to Fort Mose on my boat. Just park beyond the tree line. Is that a deal? Will you work that deal with me? 2 of you. Rest of you, I'm leaving behind. Yes? Yes? You'll work on that deal with me? Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I think I can fit all of you on my boat. That works good. But if you're traveling with me, you have to know the passcode. And when you become Catholic, you'll understand, because the patron saint of Fort Mose is Santa Teresa. And that is what we use as a passcode. You have to say that passcode loud enough that they can hear. So let's try it again. If somebody says, what's the saint? They're going to say, Que Santos. You will say, Santa Teresa. That's a little bit, but we're going to have to work on that one on the trail. Could anybody tell me what's the most dangerous creature in a saltwater tidal marsh? Why would I say an oyster is the most dangerous creature in a saltwater marsh? They're sharp. So this is half of a shell of an oyster. You have the other half that comes together, and when they're alive, they have a razor sharp edge. It's actually the building of each individual layer of these shells becomes razor sharp. And if you step on one of these, even with those strange pink skins and blue skins on your feet, I'm definitely trading with y'all. You'll go right through them. Oh, blue skin. Oh, I've never seen a blue skin before. It'll definitely go right through them. It's not going to stop until it hits bone. That could fillet you right open. And if you don't bleed out, that would be the death of you right there. All the way from South Carolina, and you get killed by an oyster. That's not really good. You made it this far. If you don't die from that wound, you're definitely getting an infection. And that's what most people around these parts in this time die from. Our doctors really don't know how to deal with infections very well. And don't go see the surgeon at the Castillo. He'll just cut your foot off. My boat, again, is just beyond this tree line. I want you to follow me. I want you to stay close. Friend.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Fine.
You know, He's part of the militia. I don't see you guys up this far north.
Just scouting
You're
today.
scouting. You know, I was waiting on the friar. Been 3 days. I haven't seen him. Blowing my horn and everything. But these freedom seekers found me. I figured he can wait a little bit longer. And I'll bring him down to Fort Mose. You probably saw my boat just over the...
Yes.
Yes. But since you're up this way, are you, by any chance, are you headed back to Fort Mose?
I am.
You are?
Yes.
Do you mind escorting these freedom seekers?
No, please, please.
So under armed guard, I think you're going to be a lot more safer than on my boat. You know, I appreciate this.
Nice to
Thank
see
you.
you, friend.
I'll
Yeah.
see you at Fort Mose. Don't forget our deal.
Yeah.
I will see you at Fort Mose.
Okay, keep tight and just follow me. I'm Francisco Menendez, and I am the Farima, or the Capitan, of the militia here in Santa Teresa de Mose. This is our community, and this is our home. We built it ourselves. And yes, I was originally from the Cambe region over by the river, but that was a long time ago. And yes, it was a time when I was captured, when I was young. Yes, long time ago. And basically, they captured me and put me on a boat towards that Carolina town that you saw back there. In that town, they did make me a slave. However, you know what? I was smarter than them. And I escaped. And I escaped, and it was good. I then joined the Yamase. You've seen the Yamase, no? Sekou, good friend of mine, good friend. So I did fight with them for a number of years because they were fighting the English and for what they've done. And for that, my reward for being fierce was the Sekou's chief allowed me a passage to St.Augustine through one of his men. But his men, it was unfortunate, no luck. He betrayed me. Malfiao. Malfiao. Because he sold me to another person for slavery. But that man sold me to another man, and that man was with the Spanish. And their slavery was much different than the English, who treat us like property, like tables. However, the Spanish have a name for their laws, coartación. Go ahead, say that, coartación. Much different. They keep our humanity in their laws. They don't separate our families. They allow me to sue if someone mistreats me. And the best thing, you get to earn a keep. And when we do that, we can also buy our freedom. So, with that said, I worked. I fought for the Spanish against the English as much as I could. And I went back to the governor, Montiano, his name, and I petitioned for him and my Tonta John Taniworo, my 16 soldiers that can carry a bow. And those men, we asked for our freedom and it was given to us. And that led us to be able to build Santa Teresa de Mose. We protect it, and again, we built it because it is our community. So, with that said, welcome. Welcome to Santa Teresa de Mose. I will walk you over so that you can have, from my men, volleys of fire in your honor. But at the same time, I want you to think, okay? Think about those who weren't able to make it to Santa Teresa. Those who were either enslaved again or no longer with us. But with that, do me a favor, pray. Pray like we honor our ancestors for those souls and their lights to be brought by your soul to our town, Santa Teresa de Mose, so they can also have their freedom. So please, come on.
I want to welcome y'all to the Fort Mose training ground. What we want to do for you is we want to show you the training drill that the Fort Mose militia went through. So we're going to show you the training drill for the flintlock musket. And we're gonna show you the training drill for the field cannon. Why do they call this a flintlock musket? You're right, because of the flint that's on it. And we all know a flint is a small, soft stone. And when a piece of flint hits something hard, it makes a spark. Oh yeah, you guys are really good. This is gonna be easy. It makes a spark. It only takes one spark to fall on the black powder that's in this pan, and that black powder will burn. That burning powder will travel down a small hole in the bottom of this barrel. Can you see that tiny hole?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that burning powder in this pan will travel down that small hole in the bottom of this barrel. It ignites the powder in the bottom of the barrel. That would make the weapon go boom. What the soldiers would do was they would tear open the bottom of that round. They filled this pan. They filled that pan up with black powder. And then they closed that pan to keep the black powder in place. They took all the rest of that black powder and they poured it down the barrel. They took that lead musket ball, which was wrapped in paper, and they stuffed it in the end of the musket. Then they took out their ramming staff and they forced that musket ball all the way down to the bottom. At this point, this weapon is loaded and it is ready to fire. Sapere la cartelletta. Sarkina Katuchi. You had to have 4 teeth to be in the Spanish army. You had to have 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom on the same plane, so you can hold a musket with one hand and open the powder with the other hand. Arbina Katuchi. La mano dressing las armas. Altis las armas. Presenting las armas. Preparing las armas. Apunte. Disparate. Fuego. Entrance of Saco Tropos in El Piñón. Viva Mose!
Viva!
Viva Spaniard!
Another exciting reason to visit Fort Mose Historic State Park is to witness the progress of the Fort Reconstruction Project, which aims to rebuild a replica of the 1738 Fort Mose on park grounds. Groundbreaking has already happened on the project, with completion anticipated by the end of the year. The Fort Reconstruction Project will provide visitors with a more immersive and authentic experience of the Fort Mose story and will enhance the educational and interpretive opportunities at the park. The replica will be based on archaeological and historical evidence and will feature a moat, a drawbridge, a watchtower, a palisade, and several other buildings. Also on property, a boardwalk, a pavilion, as well as a canoe and kayak launch. Fort Mose is more than just a historical site. It's a cultural treasure that celebrates the diversity, resilience, and legacy of the African diaspora in America. Fort Mose is a hidden gem of history and culture that deserves to be visited and appreciated by everyone. It's a place where you can learn, explore, and connect with the past, the present, and the future. Fort Mose is a place where you can discover the true meaning of freedom.